"Grandma, get out of the house, now," said my granddaughter. I trusted her, and it saved me. It was 2:03 a.m. when I heard the soft knock 3 times, gentle but urgent. I opened my eyes slowly, unsure if it had been part of a dream. My body ached the way it always did in that drafty storage room they called a guest bedroom. But the knock came again, sharper this time, like a heartbeat I could no longer ignore. "Grandma," came the whisper through the thin plywood door. "Please, don't ask. Just trust me. You have to leave. Now." I sat up. My nightgown clung to my back with sweat, though the room was cold. The only light came from under the door, flickering the hallway nightlight. I knew that voice. It was Lily, my granddaughter. But it was not her usual tone. There was no teenage sarcasm, no distance, just urgency. And something else. Fear. I opened the door. She stood there, her eyes darting down the hall like a soldier on patrol. She was barefoot, in an oversized hoodie. She reached for my hand. "You cannot stay here tonight. Don't pack. Just take your purse, the small album, and the hairpin. I know you keep it under your pillow." My throat tightened. My first instinct was to ask why. But something about the look in her eyes, the way she didn't blink, made me swallow that question. Instead, I reached under my pillow, grabbed the tarnished silver hairpin my late husband gave me on our 50th anniversary, slid it into my hair with trembling fingers, and grabbed my purse. The album, just a small one, leather-bound, with only a dozen photos, was already by the side table. Lily pulled a jacket over my shoulders and slipped something into my pocket. "You might need this," she whispered. It was a burner phone, still in its box. I let her guide me down the back stairs, past the kitchen I was no longer allowed to use, past the living room, where Monica had her ring light permanently mounted, her studio, a place I was never to be seen. At the back door, Lily hesitated. Her hands were shaking. "Go out the back gate. Keep walking. Do not turn around. When you reach the corner, someone will be waiting. Trust them. They're with me." I turned to her. "Lily, what's happening? Are you okay? Is this about your mother?" "Just go, Grandma. Please, I promise. I'll explain everything." I stepped out into the cold. The screen door clicked shut behind me, quieter than it ever had. I walked across the grass, barefoot, damp with dew. My knees protested. My chest felt hollow. Let me pause here for just a second. If you feel justice deserves celebration, smash that hype button. Let us keep stories like this alive, echoing far, far away. Your support helps us bring understanding and love to those who deserve it. Thank you so much. Keep listening. I reached the corner just as a car pulled up. A man stepped out. Tall, quiet, unfamiliar. He opened the back door for me. I looked back, but the house was already gone behind the trees. I got in without a word. We drove in silence for nearly an hour. No questions, no radio, just the hum of tires on pavement and the low, steady sound of my breathing, which seemed louder than usual. I kept my purse clutched in my lap, the album pressed to my chest like a shield. I stared at my own reflection in the window. The woman looking back was pale, wrinkled, hair undone. But her eyes, my eyes, they were awake in a way I hadn't felt in years. By the time we stopped, the sky was starting to gray. The man walked me to the door of a small home, modest, clean, warm light glowing from the inside. When he knocked, the door opened, and a woman I didn't recognize smiled and reached for my hand. "You're safe now, Dorothy." Lily made sure of it. Safe. The word landed like a stone, in water spreading, echoing. I had not felt safe in years. I had survived, endured, tolerated. But safety, that was foreign. I sat down in a quiet living room. They made tea. They did not ask questions. They let me sit in silence for a while. Let me feel. Later that morning, I looked down at my hands, old hands, veined and thin, shaking slightly, and I thought, how did it come to this? How does a grandmother, a mother, a woman who raised generations, how does she end up fleeing her own home in the dead of night like a fugitive? I knew the answer, but I wasn't ready to speak it out loud. Not yet. Because to tell you why I left, I need to tell you why I stayed, what I endured, what they said when they thought I could no longer hear. The small humiliations, the big betrayals. The silence I lived in until my granddaughter broke it with a single whisper. So if you're still with me, if you're listening, I will tell you everything. But you might not like what you hear. Here was a time I believed I still belonged to my family. Not just out of habit, but out of a deep, stubborn hope. After all, I was the one who built the foundation both literally and figuratively. I spent 42 years as an elementary school teacher in Ohio. Not just teaching spelling and math, but tying shoelaces, wiping tears, noticing when a child came to school without breakfast, and sneaking an extra granola bar into their backpack. I was the kind of teacher who stayed after class when a parent forgot to pick their child up, and the kind who showed up to every funeral, graduation, and wedding I was invited to, even if I had to walk there. I married young. Howard was steady, solid, a man of few words but endless reliability. We bought the house on Brookview Lane in 1971. We bought the house on Brookview Lane in 1971. We raised our son, Matthew, there. We raised our son, Matthew, in that house. It was where we celebrated birthdays, stitched Halloween costumes by hand, and prayed quietly in the dark during bad storms. When Howard passed, the house felt empty but still mine. Then came the call. Matthew had been arrested. Financial fraud. 2 years of secrets unraveled in 2 minutes on the phone. I could barely breathe. He had a daughter, Lily, and a wife I had never quite trusted, Monica. All teeth and perfume and quick judgments. She was the kind of woman who smiled with her mouth but not her eyes. The kind who looked at you like she was waiting for you to make a mistake, so she could call it love. She called me a week after Matthew's sentencing. Her voice was sweet, syrupy. "I know you must be lonely, Mom," she said. "Lily misses you. Why don't we come stay with you for a while? It'll be good for everyone." I said yes. Of course I did. At first, it was quiet, respectful. She cooked dinner some nights. Lily would sit beside me on the couch, her knees touching mine, listening as I read her the same bedtime stories I once read to her father. I thought, maybe, this would be healing. Maybe we could rebuild. But then the subtle shifts began. Monica moved all my plates to a different cabinet, more efficient, she said. She changed the Wi-Fi password and forgot to tell me. She removed the rocking chair from the front porch, the one Howard made me, because it ruined the aesthetic. She stopped asking. Then she stopped pretending to ask. Soon, she started redecorating, not just updating, but erasing. Family photos were replaced with ring lights and studio backdrops. My recipe books disappeared. My sewing machine was boxed up and placed in the attic. She told Lily not to sit too close to me while filming her mother-daughter brand content. Said I didn't fit the tone. I didn't know what that meant. One day, I found my wedding photo in the trash. The frame was broken. Monica said it must have fallen, but there was no glass anywhere, just a clean snap across the middle of my husband's face. I wanted to say something. I wanted to scream. But I didn't want Lily to hear me like that. I didn't want to be that kind of old woman. So I smiled. I moved quietly through the house I once ruled. And somewhere along the line, I stopped being a person and became a shadow, the woman who moved through the hallway without a sound, the woman who knew not to open the fridge when Monica was filming, the woman who learned to wait for leftovers. I told myself it was temporary, that Monica was stressed, that Lily would see through it eventually, that I still mattered. But the truth was, I was becoming invisible. And nobody tells you what to do when the people who say they love you start treating you like furniture, useful only when needed, silent the rest of the time. I kept track of the days by the rotation of scented candles Monica burned. I marked time by the scented candles. Monica rotated lavender, cinnamon, vanilla. I marked time in smells because no one spoke to me anymore unless they wanted something. I was still in my house, but I was no longer home. It started with the scented candles. Monica had this obsession with curated living. Each room had a scent profile, a filter tone, a color scheme, a mood board, and apparently, I did not match any of them. She would wrinkle her nose when I walked into the room, waving her manicured hand in front of her face like I was trailing smoke. One afternoon, she sprayed air freshener directly at me, not the air around me. Me. I'm sorry, but the smell of that ointment you use, Grandma, it's just not great for my migraines. Maybe keep it in your room, okay? It was winter. My arthritis flared so badly I could barely open jars. That ointment was the only thing that kept me functional. But I nodded. I always nodded. Then she moved me. She said the guest room was too central, too echoey when she filmed. So I was relocated to what used to be the storage room, windowless, unheated, between the laundry and the garage. The light switch didn't work. The door jammed unless you kicked it. There was no closet. Just a mattress on a metal frame and a box labeled Halloween props. When I asked if I could at least have a space heater, she laughed. Energy costs are through the roof, Dorothy. Besides, you're always bundled up like a nesting bird. You'll be fine. Lily had stopped asking questions by then. Meals became inconsistent. I wasn't allowed to cook anymore, not after the incident where I forgot to turn off the stove for a minute. Monica made a huge show of it on her Instagram story. So I ate whatever was left. Cold soup, dry toast. Sometimes I found notes taped to containers. Don't touch, for collab shoot. One night, I came to the table when dinner was ready. Monica stopped me mid-step. Oh, no. Not tonight. We're doing a themed mukbang, vintage Americana. It won't make sense if you're in the background. Sorry. I ate on a plastic stool in the guest bathroom. I could hear them laughing from the dining room. Then came the live stream. She titled it Decluttering Toxic Energy, Living Your Truth. It had 14,000 viewers within the first 10 minutes. She was in her element ring light, flawless makeup, perfectly fake vulnerability. I've been doing a lot of inner work, she said, voice soft, eyes wide. And I realized, sometimes, people in your life, even family, can hold you back from your potential. The comments flew in hearts, emojis, praise. I know it's controversial, she continued, but minimalism isn't just about stuff, it's about energy. And if someone brings clutter into your spirit, it's okay to let them go. Then she laughed. Light, practiced, cruel. I mean, even my house smells better when I reclaim my space. No more old ointment, musty cardigans, or weird whispers at 3 a.m. I felt the blood drain from my face. She was talking about me. She gestured toward the hallway. We moved certain things, certain people into more appropriate areas, to maintain the vibe. Honestly, letting go can be love too. Then she said it. Minimalism is removing what no longer serves you, even if it's human. She laughed again. So did the comments. I sat in the bathroom, holding a paper plate of microwaved peas, watching my own granddaughter pass by the doorway on the way to her room, her eyes fixed on the floor. Later that night, I heard Monica on the phone. She was giddy. That stream was gold. Engagement is up. They're calling me brave. The raw stuff hits harder. They're calling me brave. Can you believe it? Maybe I'll do a podcast. They love real talk. That was the night something cracked, not in them, but in me. Because until then, I had told myself I was enduring. I had told myself they were stressed, that the world was hard, that this was just a season. That if I stayed quiet, stayed small, I would stay safe. But silence did not keep me safe. It only made me easier to ignore. And now, I was content. Entertainment for clicks. A faceless burden, repackaged for an audience and stripped of humanity. And people were clapping for it, encouraging it, paying her for it. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of Monica's ring light charging in the next room. I remember thinking, if I died in this house, would she live stream the funeral? Would I even get one? Or would I just be content again? There was a time, long before hashtags and ring lights, when Monica rang the doorbell to my home with trembling hands and mascara-streaked cheeks. I still remember that morning. It was raining, a slow Ohio drizzle that soaked everything but never made a sound. She stood on my porch with a toddler in one arm and a duffel bag in the other. Lily was barely 2. Monica's hair was pulled into a knot, and her voice cracked as she asked, "Can we stay? Just for a while?" I said yes. Because once, long before that day, I had said no. When Matthew brought her home for the first time, she was all charm and chaos, full of opinions and always performing. Something about her felt curated, like she practiced sincerity in the mirror. I did not trust it. When he told me they were getting married, I said what mothers are warned not to say. "I don't think she loves you the way you love her. I think she loves the idea of escape." He called me controlling. She called me a snob. But I stayed quiet after that, because my son had made his choice. And when Lily was born, I did what grandmothers do. I loved her instantly, without condition. Years later, when the marriage unraveled, I thought of that first conversation, but I did not gloat. I did not say, "I told you so." I simply opened my door. Monica was broke, unemployed, bitter. She cried on my couch while Lily napped, told me about Matthew's gambling, his schemes, his betrayal. I listened. I believed her. I held her hand. I sold a piece of land that Howard and I bought in the 80 seconds, an empty acre he once dreamed of turning into a garden. I used that money to hire a lawyer for Monica, to help her get custody, to keep Lily out of foster care, to keep them together. And then, slowly, she rebuilt her life. She got a part-time job, started freelancing online, found her niche in authentic lifestyle branding. She built a following, then a platform. She learned the right buzzwords, the perfect lighting, the hashtags that drew in sympathy and sponsorships. And somewhere along the way, she rewrote our story. I was no longer the woman who saved her. I was the woman who judged her, who humiliated her by doubting her worth. She never said it outright, not at first, but I heard it in her tone, saw it in the way she rolled her eyes when I corrected Lily's grammar, the way she bristled when I offered to help with the dishes. Then one night, I overheard her on a call. "I used to be pitied by that woman. Can you imagine? Now she lives in my house, eats my food, I pay the bills, I create everything. She's just background noise, a failed generation." It stung, not because of the words, but because I realized they had always been there, buried under every tight smile, every polite dismissal. She hated me because I had once seen her at her lowest. She hated me because I had known her before the filters. To Monica, I was not just a reminder of the past. I was the only one who knew she had not always been this polished, this powerful. And that kind of witness is dangerous in a world built on illusions. Worse, she began to twist the story for Lily. I heard her say once, casually, "Grandma always resented me for being poor. She thought I wasn't good enough for your dad. That's why we were never close." Lily said nothing, just nodded, eyes low. Over time, the distance grew. The bedtime cuddles faded, the shared laughter vanished. She stopped asking me about my day, stopped showing me her drawings. She started calling me Dorothy instead of Grandma when she thought no one was listening. Monica didn't just steal my space, she stole my narrative. She painted me as the bitter matriarch, clinging to relevance, the one who couldn't let go, the one who never approved. I wanted to fight back. I wanted to show Lily the letters I wrote for her birthday every year, the photos I saved, the scarf I knitted and never gave because I was waiting for a peaceful moment that never came. But every time I looked at her, all I saw was confusion. A child caught between two truths, unsure which one to trust. So I said nothing. Because sometimes, when you speak the truth too late, it sounds like jealousy, or worse, like desperation. And I promised myself I would not beg to be loved, not even by my own granddaughter. It started with the pills, small, white, harmless-looking things that Monica called vitamins for memory. "Doctor's orders," she said with a too bright smile. "You've been forgetting a few things lately, right? These will help with focus." She handed me a cup of water and 2 pills every morning after breakfast. At first, I didn't question it. I'd begun to forget little things, where I put my glasses, what day it was, the name of a neighbor. Age has its way of stealing small moments. I thought she was helping. But within days, something changed. My body slowed down. My thoughts came in fragments, drifting like dust in sunlight. I would sit down and then wake up hours later, unsure if I'd fallen asleep or blacked out. I started losing time, long stretches of it. Once, I woke to find a nurse in the living room, signing a clipboard while Monica smiled and said, "She's been declining fast. The pills aren't doing much. I'm trying my best." The nurse nodded sympathetically. I tried to speak, to say I was fine, but my tongue felt heavy. I slurred something that sounded like, "I'm okay," but Monica cut in smoothly. "See? She's confused again." They talked as if I wasn't there. The next morning, I saw a document on the counter, Transfer of Care Authorization. The name of a nursing home printed neatly across the top, my own signature at the bottom, shaky, tilted. But not mine. My stomach turned cold. When Monica walked in, I asked, "What is this?" She smiled, tucking her phone into her pocket. "Oh, that. It's just paperwork, Mom. Standard stuff. You agreed, remember?" "I didn't sign that." "Of course you did. Yesterday. You don't remember?" Her tone was syrupy, patient, as if speaking to a child. I wanted to scream, but the fog inside my head made everything thick, slow. I could see her eyes flicker, half annoyance, half triumph. Later that day, I heard her on the phone in the kitchen. Her voice was low, businesslike. "Yes, I can have her admitted by next week. Early dementia, verified by behavioral changes, no living relatives capable of full-time care." Then, a pause and a chuckle. "Oh, trust me, she won't fight it. She's barely lucid these days." I gripped the edge of my chair to keep from collapsing. That night, I did not sleep. I watched the shadows crawl across the ceiling and thought, this is how they erase you. Not with hate, with paperwork. For days, the pattern continued. Pills, silence, naps that felt like drowning. Lily barely spoke to me anymore. She was always glued to her phone, avoiding eye contact, repeating whatever her mother said. Until one afternoon, I heard her open my door quietly. She thought I was asleep. I felt her footsteps, light, hesitant. She opened my drawer and pulled out the old journal. I kept the one I had started the year, Howard died. The one I wrote in every time Monica's voice bruised me. A few pages had been torn out. I hadn't noticed. She gasped softly, flipping through the ones that remained. I heard her whisper to herself, "She writes every day." Then quieter, "She remembers everything." She sat down, reading for what felt like forever. I kept my breathing steady, pretending to sleep. Then she stopped. Her chair creaked. A single page must have caught her eye, the one where I had written, "If I disappear, it won't be by accident. Someone wants me gone, piece by piece." When she left the room, she didn't close the door all the way. Through the small gap, I could see her leaning against the wall in the hallway, her hands shaking, her lips pressed tight. That evening, Monica noticed something had changed. Lily was quieter, her eyes searching, unsettled. "Are you okay, sweetie?" Monica asked. Lily nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." Monica smiled that thin, rehearsed smile. "Good. We all need rest." I could feel the tension vibrating through the house, invisible but heavy. The next morning, Monica brought my vitamins again. But when she turned to rinse the cup, I slipped them under my tongue and spat them into a napkin when she wasn't looking. For the first time in weeks, the fog began to lift. By evening, I could think clearly enough to piece things together. The signatures, the lies, the quiet phone calls, the nurse. Monica wasn't trying to care for me. She was staging my decline. Later that night, I heard her outside my room again, whispering into her phone. "Once she's admitted, we can sell the house. I'm the authorized custodian, remember? They'll transfer the deed. It's legal." I checked. Lily's door opened down the hall. Her voice was low, trembling. "Mom, what are you doing?" "What I have to. You don't understand yet." I read her journal. Silence. Then a sharp exhale. "You shouldn't have done that. I know what you're planning. You think you know everything just because you can read a few sad pages? She doesn't even know where she is half the time. She's gone, Lily. She's just a body waiting for paperwork to catch up." There was a long pause. Then Lily's voice, small but steady. "No, Mom, you're wrong. She's still here. You're the one disappearing." Their footsteps faded. A door slammed. I lay there in the dark, my heart pounding harder than it had in years. For the first time, the fear began to shift into something else. Something solid, slow, and burning. My granddaughter knew the truth now. And if I could just hold on long enough, the truth might finally have somewhere to go. I used to believe I had no one left, that the sum of my life had dwindled down to a quiet room, cold soup, and the careful treading of footsteps that weren't allowed to make noise. When Lily stopped calling me Grandma, something in me folded. It was not anger. It was not even sadness. It was surrender. The world had moved on. My family had reshaped itself without me. And maybe that was my punishment for aging too quietly, for loving too softly, for forgiving too quickly. But I was wrong. 3 days after Lily read my journal, the pills stopped. Monica noticed first. "She's awake more," she muttered over breakfast. "She's watching." Lily didn't answer. That night, as Monica filmed a skincare haul in the living room, Lily knocked on my door. She slipped inside like a shadow, closed it softly behind her, and sat at the edge of my bed. "I found someone," she whispered. "Someone you once helped, a long time ago." I didn't understand at first. Her hands trembled. She looked like a child again, like the little girl who once dragged her favorite blanket down the hallway just to nap beside my chair. "His name is Darius Linwood," she said. "You taught him in 4th grade. He said you let him eat lunch in your classroom every day. Said you gave him your gloves one winter so his hands wouldn't crack." The name hit something deep. I hadn't heard it in decades. "He was living in a shelter back then," she continued. "But now, he owns a security firm. He's made a life. And when I told him what was happening, he didn't even hesitate." I stared at her. "Lily, what did you do?" She pulled something from her pocket. Legal papers. A folder with my name on it. Monica tried to put the house in her name, used a forged POA power of attorney. But she didn't know it was invalid. The mortgage company flagged it. The title was never properly transferred. She looked at me, voice low but fierce. "Darius bought the house before she could clean it up. He paid cash, quietly. It's his now legally, but only until we get everything back in your name." I blinked. My hands were trembling. "Why?" I whispered. "Because he remembers, and because I finally do too." She reached for my wrist. "Grandma, you saved him. Now he's saving you." The next 48 hours moved in silence. Lily coordinated everything. Darius sent one of his team members, a kind man named Marcus, to escort me. We waited for Monica to leave for her monthly spa day. That was the night I walked out at 2-3 a.m. The night Lily slipped the burner phone into my coat pocket. The night she whispered, "Trust me, just walk." What I didn't know then was that Darius had been watching everything unfold from the outside. He'd been following the legal trail, the fraudulent documents, the whispers Monica made online about rebranding and flipping generational homes. He never confronted her. Instead, he waited. He waited for someone on the inside to send the signal. And Lily did. When Marcus pulled up to the safe house that night, I didn't recognize the neighborhood. It wasn't lavish, just clean, warm, safe. He helped me out gently, called me ma'am, and carried my bag like it was treasure. Inside, the lights were low. The heater hummed softly. A woman brought me tea, called me by name, asked nothing. The next morning, I met Darius again, grown confident. The same eyes I remembered watching me as I stapled stars to spelling tests. "You gave me kindness when no one saw me," he said. "You made me feel like I was someone." I shook my head, voice cracking. "I just gave you lunch." He smiled. "And gloves, and dignity. That's more than most kids like me ever got." He sat beside me, handed me another folder, this one clean, signed, legitimate. "When you're ready, we'll put it all back in your name. No rush. This house is yours for now. Lily will be safe too, I promise." I didn't cry. Not then. I think I was too tired. But something inside me unclenched. After all the years of shrinking, of silence, of being tolerated at best and despised at worst, someone had remembered me. Someone had fought for me. And not out of pity. out of respect. That night, I slept in a bed with clean sheets. I woke to the smell of coffee and not candle wax. I opened the album I had brought and ran my fingers over the faces inside, not just memories anymore, but witnesses to a truth that refused to stay buried. I had not disappeared. They had simply stopped looking. But now, someone had seen me again. And soon, the world would too. The thing about people like Monica is they never see the fall coming. Not because the signs aren't there, but because they believe they're too clever, too curated, too adored to ever be held accountable. When I left the house that night, I assumed she would wake up to my absence with relief. But what she woke up to was silence. The kind of silence that means plans have slipped from your hands before you even noticed they were gone. She posted that morning like everything was normal, a new video, freshly edited, titled 1 Million Strong, How I Built a Brand from Rock Bottom. I watched from a safe distance as the view count ticked up, the hearts flew across the screen, and Monica sat in her usual spotlight, wrapped in cashmere and half-truths. "Guys," she beamed, holding back fake tears, "we did it. 1 million followers, 1 million hearts that believed in the raw, the real, the unapologetic." She raised a glass of champagne. This brand started in struggle, in small spaces, in borrowed time. And now look where we are. Look what we've built. There was a knock at the door. She blinked, off cue. "Oh, hang on, guys. Probably just another bouquet." She disappeared from frame. The comments kept rolling. But when she returned, she was no longer smiling. In her hand was an envelope, opened. Her skin had gone pale under the ring light. She sat back down slowly, reading the letter again, her eyes scanning the words like they might rearrange into something less final. The livestream was still going. Viewers waited, the hearts slowed. "Effective immediately," she read, voice cracking. "Occupant Monica Lynn is to vacate the premises within 72 hours. Current legal owner, Dorothy Mayfield. Transfer validated by the Ohio County Registrar's Office under Title Correction 22B. She blinked, swallowed. The comments exploded. "Wait, what? Dorothy? Isn't that her mom-in-law? She got evicted on live?" Monica reached to end the stream, but before she could, the screen split. Another video began to play. Not by her, but by Lily, uploaded to the same platform, same profile, pre-scheduled, password protected, until now. In the clip, Monica's voice filled the screen, recorded days earlier in the hallway outside my room. "I'm just saying," she said, laughing softly. "If that old woman dropped dead tomorrow, my life would be so much easier. Honestly, I'd host the wake on livestream. Milk it for a goodbye series. #closure. Gasps filled the comment section. Lily's face appeared next, steady but pale. She looked into the camera. "My name is Lily Lynn," she said, "and this is the truth." She outlined everything: the forgery, the sedation, the attempt to force my commitment, the falsified POA, the staged decline. "She wasn't caring for my grandmother," Lily said. "She was erasing her." Within hours, sponsors began pulling out. A statement was released by her largest brand partner: "We do not condone the exploitation or mistreatment of any individual for profit or content. All contracts with Monica Lynn have been terminated effective immediately." Her follower count plummeted by the minute. By sunset, her account was flagged, demonetized, locked. But the most poetic moment came later that evening, when a video of her surfaced standing outside the very home she used to film her way to fame, suitcase in hand, begging a neighbor for a place to crash, just for a few nights. No filters, no ring light, just Monica, unedited. I watched all of it from a quiet living room, warm tea in hand, Lily beside me on the couch, her legs tucked under her. She didn't look triumphant, just tired. But in her eyes, there was peace. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded. "She'll land somewhere," Lily said. "She always does." "Let her," I whispered. "I'm not here for where she lands. I'm here for where I stand." And for the first time in years, I stood as the owner of my name, of my space, of my story. No longer a burden, no longer a background. I was not a part of the house. I was the house, the one who built it, and the one who got it back. They say age is what makes you invisible, but I have come to believe that is not quite right. You do not become invisible because you grow old. You become invisible when the people you love decide they have nothing left to learn from you. That is what happened to me. But I am here now, back in the house I built. Not the brick and wood of it, but the rhythm, the weight, the soul of it. And I am here without apology. The day I returned, the house felt hollow in a strange way, as if it had been waiting, not just for me, but for the silence to end. Lily and I walked in together. She held the door open like it was sacred. Monica had been gone for 6 days by then. She did not fight. Once the live stream collapsed, so did her image. The woman who once wore suffering like an accessory suddenly had no script left. She pled no contest to fraud and unlawful elder abuse. The judge, an older woman with steel-gray hair and an unblinking gaze, sentenced her to 18 months of community service at the Westwood Care Facility, an assisted living home. You'll be required to feed them, the judge said, bathe them, speak to them, and perhaps see them. Monica did not reply. I was not in the courtroom. I did not need to be. Truth walks silently, but it always arrives. Back at the house, Lily helped me strip everything commercial from the walls. Down came the neon signs, the fake ivy, the motivational quotes that meant nothing. The ring light went in the trash. I put Howard's photo back on the mantel. Matthew's navy portrait went by the bookshelf. And in the hallway, I framed a school project Lily once gave me in 2nd grade, a drawing of the two of us drinking tea in matching hats. I had kept it in a shoebox for 20 years. I don't even remember drawing that, she laughed softly. I never forgot it, I said. We settled into a rhythm after that. Not as caregiver and patient, not as obligation, as something older than blood and more honest than guilt. Lily took the guest room. She planted herbs in the backyard. She learned to make my favorite soup. She got a part-time job at the local library and told me about the books she carried like they were people. Some mornings, I'd wake up to the sound of her humming in the kitchen. Other times, I'd find her reading my old journals not to be invasive, but to understand. I want to know the parts of you they never asked about, she said once. So I told her, everything, not just the bad, the good too. The man her grandfather was, the boy her father used to be, the softness of Sundays, the way grief folds itself into routine, the kind of forgiveness that does not need to be declared. We started having tea on the porch again. Same spot, same mugs, no audience. People passed by and waved. Some stopped to ask if the influencer still lived here. She moved on, I said simply. What I meant was, she was removed. She was part of a story that no longer belongs here. I did not gloat. I did not post. I did not write a single word online. Justice, real justice, does not need to announce itself. It just needs to restore what was taken. And in the quiet of those afternoons, sitting beside the granddaughter who once thought I was the villain, I found something I had forgotten to miss. Myself. One evening, as the sky turned lavender, Lily brought out 2 cups of chamomile and sat beside me. I've been thinking, she said. You were never just part of this house. You were the one who made everyone else feel like they belonged. I looked out over the porch. The wind moved through the trees like a song I hadn't heard in years. You know, I said, I don't feel like I got anything back. She frowned. You didn't? No. I smiled gently. I didn't get anything back. I just took my seat again at the table where I've always belonged. She nodded, and we sipped our tea. No ring light, no applause, no trending sound. Just breath, and presence, and peace. And that, I've learned, is the loudest victory of all. If this story touched something in you, if you've ever felt unheard, unseen, or underestimated, know this: you're not alone. And if you stayed with me till the end, I thank you. Not just for listening, but for remembering that every quiet woman has a story worth hearing. this was just one of mine. For more true stories of strength, betrayal, justice, and quiet revenge, told from the front porch of a life well worn but never wasted, don't forget to subscribe to Grandma True Stories. Because wisdom doesn't shout, it remembers. And when a grandma speaks, the world finally listens. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. Until then, keep listening,